Hi, this is Joel Persinger. I'm the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for watching my channel and supporting GunGuyTV. I'm very, very grateful. Now, look, after the election yesterday, a whole lot of people, more than I thought would ever bother to do it, have sent me notes, comments, emails, and whatever, communications through Facebook and like that, asking me what now, because it looks like Gavin Newsom has become the governor of California, and it looks like many other races didn't quite go our way. Look, we can always sit around and look at the negatives and feel sorry for ourselves and get upset and depressed and all that kind of stuff. Frankly, that's not worth doing. That serves no purpose. It doesn't help us at all, and it doesn't help us win any fights. Here's some things I think are positive. Yes, Gavin Newsom won. However, it was pretty close. John Cox did a lot better than most people, a lot of prognosticators thought he was going to get creamed. A lot of prognosticators thought there was going to be a blue wave. Well, there wasn't one. So, yeah, Gavin Newsom won, but not as by the landslide everybody thought he was going to win by, which tells me that some Californians, at least, are waking up. I think that's positive. Now, here's some other things. In the state of California, let's look at the state of California first. In the state of California, we did not win the governorship. We certainly were not going to win the lieutenant governorship because our choices there both were awful. And honestly, the governorship, it was pretty clear that the odds were that Gavin Newsom was going to win. So it's not a huge surprise. It was a long shot that John Cox might win, although he did really well. So I'm encouraged by that. However, there were a number of assembly members and Senate races that did go our way. Not as many as I'd like, but we had some that went our way. Most notably, Brian Jones, who was an assembly member, is now, it looks like, now going to be a state senator. He's won that seat, at least as far as the election returns that I can see. And Brian Jones is a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment. In fact, I support Brian Jones in his bid for the Senate, and I'm very grateful to be able to do that. Randy Vopel, another example, who's an assembly member here in San Diego County, has won re-election, it looks like. That's very positive. Randy Vopel is a staunch Second Amendment supporter and a conservative. So we did have some victories there. I don't want to paint the picture that we've lost everything. We most certainly haven't. Is the road ahead difficult for Californians? Yeah, well, the road ahead was going to be difficult regardless. It's just maybe a little bit more difficult now because Gavin Newsom is a rubber stamp guy. Anything that the crazy California legislature passes with regard to anything progressive or, way on the left socialist end of things or anti-gun or whatever, Gavin Newsom is likely to sign into law. Now, here's some positives also. Let's get into local races before I talk about judges. I'll tell you what, I'll talk about judges first, but just because of what I just said. As you look at the state judge offices that were up for grabs, you got to vote yes or no on any given judge. And it looks like a whole lot of folks just voted yes because they didn't know who to vote for. So they went through and voted yes on every judge, which is incredibly foolish. I have for many years said people are stupid. My wife corrects me on a regular basis, but some people are stupid, and some of them are just foolish. They just, I'll vote yes on all of them. It's like the people that go to Las Vegas and, I'll put money on red and I'll put money on black on the roulette wheel, and then I'll only lose half my money. It doesn't make a lot of sense, okay? But people do it. So it is what it is. So that's what they did. It looked like they voted yes on all the judges. Well, what that resulted in is some of the judges that got confirmed into the state judgeships, however that works, were liberal, progressive, activist judges. But you know what? Some of them that got confirmed are conservative constitutionalists. Okay. It's not the best result, but it's better than it might have been, so I'm not going to complain too much about that either. Now, local races. I've said many times it's an old saying that all politics are local. I believe that. And in fact, I'm more inclined to believe that today than I ever was before. I got involved in a local race here in San Diego County, and that was out in the city of El Cajon, because Bill Wells, who has been the mayor of El Cajon and previously a city council member of El Cajon, is a former gun shop owner. He was a partner in a gun shop. He's a business owner. He's a very pro-Second Amendment guy, very conservative guy. He was up for re-election. So I donated some money to his campaign. It's the first time in my life I've ever done that. I got involved in Bill Wells' campaign. I didn't go out and, do too much stuff, but I did a little bit. My wife and I stuck a couple signs out for him, and we donated some money. Guess what? He won. Not only did he win, he won big. And so that's awesome. So now we have this city council who's got some more conservative folks in it. The guy, Ben Kalasho, was running out there in El Cajon. That dude was a crook. He is a crook. He's on probation for fraud, among other things. And he was running as a city council member. He was a city council member. Well, guess what? He's not anymore. He lost. We got kind of involved in that race, too. So now we have a more conservative guy than Ben Kalasho in that seat. Ben Kalasho was a former Democrat who had renounced his Democrat policy affiliation in an effort to try to get elected, and a crook is not involved in local city politics anymore. And we have instead a mayor who is still involved in the local city politics in that town. Well, let me tell you, that happened in a lot of places around the state. And I think it's important that we remember that the local races, city councils, mayors, dog catcher, whatever, those are all the farm team for the later state representatives and federal representatives. That's where they're groomed. That's where their careers are started. The next thing you know, they're running for state assembly, or they're running for state senator, they're running for governor, or they're running for attorney general, or they're running for Congress. That's what happens. That's where these folks come from. So local politics is important. And from a local politics perspective, around the state, as best I can determine, we had a number of local political races that came out pretty darn good. So does that help us immediately on a state or federal level? No. But, you ask me, I've had a bunch of people send me, well, now, what do you predict for California now that Gavin Newsom is governor? Well, the same thing I predicted for California before. We have a long, tough battle ahead of us. But it's winnable. And I think in some areas, although it looks like we're losing, I think in some areas we're winning. All right, now I've given you some. Let me give you another one. Let's look at it on a federal level. The House is gone, and now that belongs to the Democrats. Okay, that's been predicted for a long time, and even people like Rush Limbaugh, who said he predicts that they're going to win both of them, has said many times, in my hearing anyway, if I remember correctly, and Sean Hannity, these other heavy hitters, have said that, it's quite likely that the Democrats will get the Senate. Okay, well, or get the House, rather. Well, they did. Okay, so that's not exactly, news. The Republicans have kept the Senate. What does that mean? That means that the House is going to do everything they can do to try to disrupt everything Donald Trump tries to do. Well, the Democrats have been doing it for a long time, along with the media. But the Senate is now still in the hands of the Republicans, which means Donald Trump is still the president of the United States. He can still work on regulations within federal agencies, within his one branch of government, the executive branch. That includes the Justice Department and all. And ATF, by the way, ATFE, whatever you want to call it. He can also work on work with Mitch McConnell in the Senate to continue doing what they've been doing, which is as quickly as humanly possible, packing the federal court system with constructionist, conservative, constitutional judges. That in itself is huge. If all Donald Trump does for the next 2 years is just pack the court with constitutional judges, with judges that look at the Constitution and say, this is what it meant when it was written, and that's what it means today. If he just packs the court with those guys, that's all he does the whole time he's in office for the next 2 years, that's an incredible victory for the Second Amendment. It's an incredible victory for conservatives. It's an incredible victory every direction around. And the Democrats have no control over that, since judges, Harry Reid, as my understanding is, Harry Reid, using the nuclear option back when he was around, caused it to be the situation to be that judges are now confirmed with only 51 votes. And I think, if I looked at the map correctly on the projections, that Republicans now have 52. That does not count the vice president of the United States, who would cast a deciding vote, I think, in the Senate, if I remember right. I think they call him the president of the Senate or something. Anyway, I think he cast the deciding vote in the Senate. So that gives them essentially 53. Much, much easier to get these judges through, and they've been ramming them through anyway. So, and Mitch McConnell, whatever issues you may have with him, and I certainly have some with him, has been pretty tough on these judgeships, and he has stuffed them through. And I guarantee you, if Chuck Grassley steps down from that committee and Lindsey Graham steps up after the hearing with our most recent Senate, or our most recent Superior Court judge, he wasn't happy. He's going to remember what the Democrats did before and continue to stuff these judges through. So that's very, very positive, I think. I think the other thing is that it was a closer election in so many ways than it has been at midterms before. I got to give Donald Trump credit for that. That man has run all over the country. He has had rallies all over the country. And this blue wave, which was predicted, this incredible blue wave for Democrats, which they predicted, the media predicted, everybody predicted, it didn't happen. The blue wave never showed up. They didn't get the landslide victory that they wanted. Yes, they got the House, but not by a big margin, and they didn't get the Senate, and they didn't get the landslide victories in governorships in other areas, as far as I can tell. Now, I'm going to delve into it more when I get back from work tonight, and I'm trying to get either Rick Travis or Sam Paredes to come on the show in the next week or so to kind of iron that out and whittle it down for us so we can see what the details are from their perspectives and see where we go from here in the battle for California and also for the battle for our Second Amendment in the United States. But I want to just say to you, we didn't lose everything. The sun still came up this morning. Life is still good. We still got to eat this morning, I hope. I know I did. I'll still get to eat this afternoon. I'll still get to eat this evening. I still have a roof over my head, and I still have employment and, and all like that. And my family still loves me, and God still loves me, and so on. So hang in there. There's no reason to fall apart or get terribly discouraged or depressed. We knew this wasn't going to be a great victory for us, but honestly, we did pretty well. So there's my recap on the election from what little I know just from looking this morning. I will delve into it more for you, but I wanted to encourage you at least with some good news if you happen to be in the state of California. Hang in there. Stay in the fight. It's going to be a long, hard battle, but we have a chance to win it in the long run. So let's keep the long view and not worry too much about the short view. Have a great week. Thank you very much for watching, and please be safe.